Hey everyone, hope everything is going well with you. I do have something important to announce before I get to today's video on Taoist Weather Magick. I have finally opened a community on Facebook called Taoist Magick. Now you don't have to be a Taoist to join the group. My only requirement is that I would like at the very least for you to be a practitioner of some type of magical art. So as long as you're an occultist of some kind, you are more than welcome to be here, and you are welcome to post your methods of how you practice your magic. You can freely ask questions and get advice from more seasoned magicians. And of course, if you want to, you can join to interact with me and ask me questions as well. So far, the group has been really awesome. New members are joining almost every day, and it's actually turned out to be a very good idea. I might even consider posting up some original exclusive videos to the group. Short videos that you probably won't find on this channel. Now, on to today's topic: summoning, borrowing, and calling winds. What are the purposes for calling winds, and how can they be used for the benefit of the magician? Now, wind, as many of you will know, is actually my main expertise in all of Taoist weather magic. It's the main weather type that I have worked with for the last decade. The Chinese word for wind is feng. Of course, this relates to feng shui, shui meaning water. Feng shui is the study or science of wind and water. Wind in Taoism was considered to be the breath of the heavens and also the messenger of heaven. But wind in ancient China hasn't always had a positive reception. Some priests view wind as a demon. This is down to the logic that strong winds destroy and damage houses, thus killing and injuring people. Wind is one of the most polarizing weather patterns in my opinion. It is entirely invisible, yet it is capable of utter destruction. Wind can range from a light breeze, on a summer's day, to a whirlwind of power. And wind in Taoism is sometimes seen as the Tao itself. It courses and circulates like wind without being wind, and is fluid like water without being water. Whirlwinds in Taoism are very important as they are known to carry deities, spirits, and immortals on what are known as whirlwind chariots. These chariots behave like spiritual vehicles as they carry heavenly beings from other realms to visit the mortal one. A divine wind is a type of whirlwind that a Taoist may ride upon. He or she may use the winds to overcome obstacles and challenges. This divine wind is exhaled by the divine emperor, who looks after all of the guardian spirits at the gate of death. It is thought that such a wind can brighten up everything like a second sun, as it is related to the primordial breath. This breath charges the earth by blowing around in its cavities, so through cracks in the ground, caves, forests, thus making the earth vibrate and produce a particular auspicious sound. However, demons have also been known to travel within whirlwind chariots. They would hijack the wind chariots to confuse people. In these cases, people in ancient China believe that these whirlwinds were sent as punishments from the heavens, sometimes known as the spirits of the air. Usually torrential rain would follow and destroy crops. It is believed that demons travel within whirlwinds in order for them to avoid being drained of energy. A demonic-looking whirlwind takes on a much different appearance and vibe. These whirlwinds are extremely dark, and they are freezing cold. When they get too close, they also leave a very strong smell of sulfur, whereas the divine whirlwinds tend to smell like flowers and blossoms, like that of a summery garden. Well, these demonic ones smell terrible, and they are very overwhelming. Size-wise, they are much larger than any man. So what happens is, if they get close to you, they will begin to materialize, and you will start to see the demonic figure within the wind itself. I have actually dealt with one of these whirlwinds before, and it ended up partially destroying the roof on my house. Now, if I could describe what I saw, it had a totally black face. Its eyes were black. It had two small horns protruding from the forehead, and it had a really sinister grin on its face. The reason why these winds are so dangerous is because they absorb all of the living chi in the area. So if they get too close to you, they will basically absorb your life force. And once it has begun to absorb it, it is usually far too late because the demon will leave you paralyzed and you will end up suffering a mental breakdown. You will more or less lose your mind and your sanity. If you encounter one of these beings, the only remedy for these attacks from what I've found is this: the demon does not seem to enjoy seeing its reflection. So you should use a Bagua mirror to counteract its evil. Then it will lift. This is why it is so important to know the differences in winds, since winds have a habit of dispersing qi. It helps to know whether they are divine or demonic. It shouldn't come as any surprise to you that there are yin and yang qualities to the wind. A yin wind is seen as unlucky because it blows away the earth's qi, causing an environment to become dead. A yang wind is helpful as it is a wind that blows over great distances across the ocean and is generally very good for healing. So if you are sick, summoning a yang wind will be beneficial for you. Winds that blow through mountains and waters are considered to be sacred. You can use these types of winds to remove negative energies from your altar space. In winter, wind contains a lot more yin, and in summer, it contains a lot more yang. Directions hold a lot of significance here as well. There are 8 directions based upon the concepts of the King Wen sequence of the Bagua. The idea is that different winds from different directions are able to enter the human body and interact with it on a molecular level, and either bring about positive changes such as purification or negative changes such as toxins. There are 3 benign winds, known as the baby wind of the east, the weak wind of the southeast, and the very weak wind of the south. These winds will not harm you. The harmful ones are the fierce wind of the northeast, the evil wind of the southwest, the very strong wind of the north, and the wind that breaks things from the northwest. It is important to note that each wind can be used, but only in the proper season. The season of spring is best for northeastern wind. The season of early summer is good for southeastern wind, actually my favorite. Autumn for western wind, eastern wind on the spring equinox, south during the summer solstice, northwest for very early winter, and north during the winter solstice. I would recommend that you don't practice any weather magic until you are experienced with these wind directions. Earlier on in the video, I was talking about the human body. In Taoist Weather Magick, the body of the priest and his or her organs are deeply connected with the weather. In the case of the winds, the organ is the liver. The liver corresponds to the element of wood in the Chinese 5-element system. Wood is related to the planet Jupiter, the color green, and the green dragon of the east. So knowing the organ will help with your visualization. When you harness the qi from the winds, you should always visualize where the energy is going as it travels into the body, what particular organ it's going to. So you have to sort of meditate in your mind as you imagine the energy going into the liver to nourish it, and really think about it. Be careful not to absorb the wrong type of winds into your body because it could cause liver failure. The reason why some winds are considered risky is because in Chinese medicine, the wind was regarded as the mother of 100 diseases, so always pick the correct wind. Auspicious locations exist where winds from all directions feed it with qi. This is usually a flat open desert type of area, a perfect place to absorb healthy qi. Taoists in ancient times considered the wind to be the voice of heaven, as I mentioned earlier, and because of this, divination with winds was very common and still is today. One such method is known as feng jiao. Taoists would listen to the whispers, voices, and tones of the wind in order to cast prophecies. Now, when calling forth wind, it is common for Taoist practitioners to use wind pouch bags. These bags are used to be able to capture the winds. Then the bag is tied with a special rope, usually red in color, and depending on how tight these ropes are, or how many knots they have, a different direction of wind would be called when the knots would be released. The release of only one knot would call a gentle southwestern wind. The release of 2 would call a powerful northern wind, and the release of a third would summon a devastating wind storm. This method of summoning wind was often used in purposes of warfare. Be careful not to let go of the bag as you are doing this. Other methods include a special kind of whistling incantation to encourage the winds to change, accompanied by the magical hand seals used to invoke different weather patterns. The proper hand seal in this case is Shun, based off of the Bogwa wind triagram. Performing this hand gesture will make nature conform to your will. There are 8 different hand seals for the calling of the 8 different directions of wind. As many of you might know, there are also instruments that can change the weather in various ways. I use some myself. The instruments used for calling wind are usually horns, bamboo flutes, mouth organs, stone chimes, drums, and bells. Now the horn, well, my particular horn, when I use it, it makes a very sort of breathy-like sound, and this draws in wind, but only very slowly. It's a very slow instrument. The bell works to quickly call in powerful wind, so I would recommend that you should use both of them at differing stages during the ritual to get results. But keep in mind, too little wind is just as bad as too much. If an area does not have any wind at all, then the chi within that environment will become stagnant, which is why it's all about finding a balance between the two. Now, I don't believe I have ever mentioned this before on the channel, but there exist herbs that can also change and call the weather. The herb that you will need in this instance for wind is broom. To activate its magical properties, you will need to soak the broom in water. Once the broom is in the water, say the following incantation out loud, but say it in a clear and commanding voice. The winds shall follow effortlessly, blowing through every limb and tree. Or, if you prefer to use a different incantation to summon the winds, perhaps consider using this one that I have previously used, involving Kong Ming, and I've actually created this one. This is one of my own unique creations. Kong Ming, please borrow to me the southeastern winds from the Battle of Chi Bi. I sometimes make my own words of power because I really enjoy poetry. The first one is a traditional one, but both of these incantations do work for calling wind. So it's up to you to see what you prefer. In terms of wind deities, I have 2 that I would like to recommend to you. Feng Bo, the Earl of Wind, he also uses a blessed goatskin bag to call winds, and Zhuge Liang Kong Ming, because of his connection to summoning a southeastern wind at the Battle of the Red Cliffs, otherwise known as Chi Bi. Now, a weather magician should always have tools at their disposal, especially magical stones to call forth wind. I personally recommend using quartz crystals and a bezoar stone that can only be found in the stomach of a wolf. Now, I know it sounds quite crazy. How are you going to find a bezoar stone from a wolf? Well, you can actually go online and you can buy them, real ones, and they are super expensive though. I don't know why they're so expensive, but they are, but they really do work. I'm going to give you a fairly simple and straightforward exercise involving the wind right now, using the method of sipping the multicolored chi. This meditation, involving the cultivation of wind, is based in nourishing the 5 main yin organs of the body, stimulating them by preventing deficiencies. A cleansing ritual by using the external to basically heal the internal. A little visualization is required here, but I definitely want you to try this. This begins with the practitioner usually standing on a mound where he or she can clearly see the horizon. Facing the horizon, one must pull down the heavens. This is in aid of purging the body of toxic chi. Then proceed to become one with the environment. Hold your tongue on the upper palate of your mouth and begin to breathe in a relaxed manner. Focus on the breathing, not too fast or too slow. Let your eyes relax, yet still remaining focused on the horizon. Here you will sip the horizon. Use your imagination to taste the different colors, to smell the different colors. Feel the different consistencies of energy as they enter your body. Some may be very thin, some may be very thick. Try to imagine yourself absorbing the chi from the 6 different directions: above, below, front, back, right, and left. Now you will want to gather a silver colored chi. This is a heavenly chi via what is known as the Tai Chi Pole. This is located at the top of the head. Energy comes down from heaven, entering the top of the head, and imagine all of that chi is coming from the stars, the moon, the sun, and the heavenly bodies. Focus on that coming in. Once again, it is a silver colored chi. So use your imagination to imagine that silver mist entering your body. Now you can focus on gathering an earth chi, a golden colored chi, that enters via the earthly gate of the Tai Chi Pole. This is located at the base of the buttocks, basically. This chi is all about grounding yourself into the earth. This energy comes from the soil, the winds, and the water. So imagine a golden chi going into the body, coming from the earth itself. Now that you have both heaven and earth, above and below chi, you can now draw in the wind chi from the 4 winds. The eastern wind is green. Imagine a green mist entering your body, going straight into the liver. Next, a southern wind colored red. Imagine this going straight into the heart. Next, a western wind, a white colored energy. Imagine it traveling into your lungs. You breathe it in. And lastly, a black chi from the north entering into your kidneys. So imagine all of these different energies, all of the colors, what they feel like entering into your body, into your organs. Once this is complete, you will have stored your organs to perfect balance. Now, if you struggle with any of the other steps, if you're struggling to gather the earth chi, do not worry so much. Do this gradually. The main energy here is the heavenly chi. It's that silver-colored mist. That is exactly the kind of chi that you want to be able to practice Taoist weather magic. So if you're struggling with all of the information, let's say it's all too much coming at once, don't worry, just focus on that heavenly chi and build up from there. In terms of ceremonial clothing, if you're like me and you enjoy wearing the Taoist robes to further enhance your magic and your spells, then you have to wear a black robe, because black helps to manifest dark, stormy clouds. And the reason why Zhuge Liang wore a black robe, it also had a silver border with silver embroidery. That is because, like I just said, that's the heavenly chi. That's the exact chi that you need to connect to in order to make all of this work. If that puzzle piece is missing, none of it will work. I've already made a very in-depth video on robes and occult clothing. Head over there to check it out if you haven't already. You won't regret it, because putting on ceremonial clothing for the first time is like practicing magic on steroids. It just enhances the results tenfold. So if you have never done it before, please do it. You won't regret it. Some of you out there may be thinking to yourself, I really want to try weather magic, but I don't have the confidence to do it, or I'm nervous in case something goes wrong. I think that's a fairly healthy and normal type of thought process when you're doing something you're not used to. But there is a solution here. You can practice what Taoists call dry runs, which basically means you perform your ritual as normal, but you don't light any of the candles, you don't light the incense, and you don't make any offerings to the deities. This way, nothing bad will happen to you because technically the altar is not activated yet. You won't be able to change weather like this, but it's still a great way to learn how to practice step by step and not have to worry about failure. So are there any other reasons for the summoning of wind? Yes, absolutely. You can use the wind to consecrate and bless objects for your own ritual use. So let's say you have just purchased a statue of a protective guardian and you want it to be charged with energy. I recommend that you use a gentle, warm southeastern wind. Simply put the object on a high place on the altar and allow the winds to blow over it for about 15 minutes, and the element within the winds will charge the chi of the object. This is what I do when I purchase a new Kongming fan. I'll use the winds to bless it, and once it is done, it never really needs to be blessed again. So thank you for watching, everybody. I think that will just about do it today on the topic of winds. We will definitely be returning back to this subject at a later date, since this is my main expertise. Thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll see you soon.